Hello, all. I hope you're all doing well and had a successful, enjoyable, productive week. We are continuing with our weekly portion review. This week we are in the parasha of Mishpatim, the portion of Mishpatim, which translates to regulations or ordinances. And many topics are discussed in this weekly portion, different seasonal holidays, um, slaves, or servants. We discuss ideas of a justice system, creating court systems as well to make sure we have these justice systems, and many other topics. There's, of course, similarities between these regulations and some of the surrounding cultures, famously the Code of Hammurabi, with the Jewish tradition always focusing and stressing the fact that we are, even if these are appropriated, are being elevated, reoriented, and sanctified properly. Um, One of these prohibitions is the mixing of meat and milk, which here too we give a moral explanation why we are not mixing these two elements. Having said that, assuming we want to reach new moral heights, one could ask, why are we even sacrificing these animals? Why are we not moving towards a more vegetarian attitude? And I should mention that meat consumption in general can be seen more than just simply eating. It is really an elevation, a reorientation of the animals. And it's allowing them to become, in a certain sense, true partners with humanity in the mission of repairing the world. It definitely, when done in the context of a sacrifice in the temple. There is a fascinating midrash that discusses the prophet Elijah's interaction with the false prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. And the Midrash discusses that famously there was two altars built, and Elijah asks for two bulls to be brought. These two bulls should have, been raised together and coming from the same house, so seemingly siblings. And Elijah's bull that he takes for the altar for God follows him immediately. However, the bull for the false prophets doesn't come. He won't budge. And Elijah goes to see what the deal is. And the bull expresses to Elijah his fear, which is, your bull is being used for a holy purpose that God is interested in. And however, I am being used for idol worship. And I'm not interested in that. And I don't think God's interested in that. Comes Elijah and reassures the bull and tells him that even though you're being sacrificed on the altar of false prophets, by doing so, you will be proving God's point, and hence, even this sacrifice is still considered holy in God's eyes. And after some hesitation, the bull follows Elijah and goes the to the altar of the false prophets, and of course, the rest is history. What's interesting to note over here is the Midrash understands that what's bothering the bull is not the sacrifice itself, as we could see with Elijah's bull that goes without any hesitation. Rather, it's what's the purpose I'm being sacrificed for. And Rabbi Cook, in his famous essay, "The Vision of Vegetarianism," he describes a world where we live in today, that human barbarity is completely taken over and has domination over all life, whether it's human or animals. And in such a state, the initial attempt is to redirect human barbarity towards the animals. Simultaneously, though, we are trying to consciously neutralize this barbarity towards animals, and ideally, in the future, becoming vegetarian. This is what Rabbi Cook. This is his what he posits. I should mention that this doesn't mean that this doesn't deny eating of sacrifices in the future, through which, again, we said reality itself is elevated through this process. But we should recognize that the way Rav Kook sees the end of days, so to speak, is that humans, we all rise to a much higher level, and animals rise to the level of humans, and plants rise to the level of animals. And even by being vegetarian at that point, we would still be at the equivalent of eating meat because the plants themselves have raised to another level. But this is all happening in a reality where all reality itself has been raised to a new divine level. And it's these concepts are a little hard for us to think about and to see the holiness side of eating meat, so to speak. But we really shouldn't be surprised by this because ever since the destruction of the temple and the fact that prophecy left us, which was very palpable in the air at the time, we of course had to, for survival, all that remained was for us to refocus inwards towards the 4 cubits of halakha. And there we managed to still safeguard and store some of these holy sparks, so to speak. And even today, it's hard for us to see how there's holiness in all the forces of nature. But we must be aware that we are now still in the midst of a process of of course, personally, a nation returning to its life in its holy land, where we could fully see the complete holiness of all the forces of nature and life around us, but even in the world at large. I would even posit that concepts such as, uh, uh, you know, the wokes over there, while we clearly see the problematic manifestation of it, at its core, we are all trying to slowly but surely move towards raising the level of humanity and bringing ourselves closer towards the divine, towards God. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and a productive and successful week. Much love.